Good morning, everyone, and welcome. This is Joe Scarice, co-founder of the Creative Birth Strategy House and podcast here live every Saturday morning, 8 a.m., and every Sunday morning, 9:30 a.m. We'll get started here in just a few minutes. We're going to get some things started. We did not have an event yesterday because I was committed to a presentation and expo out in the Poconos at the STR conference. We'll discuss that briefly and thoughts to type of client I met and type of investor I had met, which was kind of cool. Had a good time there. It was up in the Kalahari Poconos, beautiful facility out in, yes, the middle of nowhere. So not my kind of place to go hang out, during the day, but definitely a beautiful area, beautiful air. Uh, Definitely good, clean living out there. But really interesting subject matter, discussing the STR, MTR market. Um, and we dove into it. And I had about an hour with about 24 people in a mastermind setting, which I always enjoy. So that was pretty cool. So we'll get started here in just a few minutes. And our discussion this morning is back to the real estate basics. We're going to just break it all down. I did put an article out about it this past week, so you can always find it on LinkedIn or Facebook. So I'll just get started here in just a few minutes. I'm just trying to get my thumb to invite people in and share, and then we'll get rocking and rolling. And here we go. 1 second here. All right. So let's first, Steve, please mic. Okay. Steven, please mic.
Yep.
You got to mic. You got to mic yourself, Steve.
All right, let me figure out what I'm doing.
Okay. We're live. Thank you. So let's just yeah, but you got a mic. I'm gonna have, if you can't figure it out, there you go. Thank you. All right, so we'll get started here. Creative Birth Strategies podcast. We'll be talking about real estate basics, strategies, and tips. But first, I always want to thank our Steve. You're on mic again. Steve, thank you. All right, so good morning. We're going to get started here. I want to first thank our sponsors. I'd like to thank Realty 411 with Linda Pelagas, who provides national publication for real estate professionals and investors, as well as national events. I want to thank MB Capital, which provides unsecured business lines of credit for investors throughout the country, whether through credit card or private lines and unsecured. It's a great way to leverage and grow out your business in the real estate environment. I'd like to thank Perkatech, Mr. Yardell Perkins, who provides our social media platform here on the podcast, video, audio, graphics, website design. We have a great website. I actually have two great websites. I have josephscarice.com and creativebirthstrategies.com, all designed and maintained by Mr. Yardell Perkins of Perkatech. Reach out to him to have that social media strategy. And I'd like to thank Landmark Capital, which provides asset-based lending options for investors, whether it's DSCR, 1 through 4 units, 5 through 25, mixed use, fixed to rent, fixed to flip, new construction, blanket loans. We provide strategy and advisory for real estate investors nationwide. So let's talk about a little bit what's happened over the past week economically, and let's also talk about what I was at yesterday. So yesterday, we did not have a room because I just felt it was a little too tight for me to be at an event, speak at an event, and then obviously conduct the podcast itself. I was at the Pocono STR conference, very well attended. It was a good convention. It was a nice mix of newer and experienced investors, some really good speakers on STR and on business as a whole. I had a mastermind discussion for about an hour. I put everybody in a circle almost, and it was pretty intense in talking about finance and peeling back thoughts about what they needed to do to build out their business, and it was a lot of fun. And it will resonate with me as we are rolling out the Creative Birth Strategy Mastermind starting in September, the second Monday of the month, at my office in Philadelphia, which we will do live and by Zoom. We're still gonna. I got to sit down with Yordell about that. But it's second Monday evening of the month, 6:30 to 8:30. We're gonna do a Zoom like and live mastermind in Philadelphia at my office at 17th and Snyder. Pretty excited about that. And this event kind of helped me figure out how to really apply that. I feel like investor group meetings are not going to have a speaker eventually. It's going to be a subject that's put together by the coordinator, and it's going to kind of be thrown in the middle. And it's going to be masterminded, and it's going to be torn apart. It's going to be hot seated, and everybody's going to have to be involved. I think the whole speaker type of event is going away because to commit to scheduling and countering a speaker is very difficult right now. Getting people to show up and people to make sure they can make it, things happen. So I feel like the masterminding environment is gonna, because I've been seeing a lot of these other groups doing the same thing, a lot of module settings, and they're scheduling that subject matter 6 months or 12 months in advance. So I think that's where investor group meetings are going, like here on Clubhouse as well. It's very relevant. But let's talk about the market this week. Wow, wow, wow. Did anybody listen to Fed Chair Powell on the market on Friday and in Jackson Hole? Very interesting how they're suddenly realizing, oh yeah, we do have issues with jobs and unemployment. We better start lowering the rate. Hello. Oh, and then by the way, the Labor Department, the Fed miscalculated over 800,000 jobs we didn't really have. There's a lot of indicators here that we're not as good as we should be economically. And they're just kind of astroturfing it with the media to gaslight the election. But that's a whole nother discussion to have. Okay. So if anybody knows what gaslighting and astroturfing means by the media for the betterment of government, you're watching it. So we're all puppets on the stage, watching in the audience watching the puppets on the stage. So Fed Chair Powell just basically gave in to the media, forcing to bring joy to our market right now, which there's not. I don't think people are in any condition. The renter today is just as much in trouble now, more now than 4 or 5 years ago. And I think we need to reset to kind of get things back to basics and get the government out of our hands and give it back to the people. Because obviously the indicators in the Fed is telling us this. Okay, you could read it any way you want, but housing market's looking positive, but it's going into a fall with rate cut expectations. So, do you think values are going to come back down just because the rates are going to go down a quarter point? I don't think so. Okay, I don't see that happening. I don't see home buyers coming off the sidelines in the month of October because they could save a quarter point on a rate on an inflated house. Okay, I just don't see that. There's fewer jobs being created right now. More people are looking for jobs now than ever before. They're not happy where they're at. There's obviously ill content with what's going on in multiple industries. The real estate investor industry, as an investor, has stayed hot, very strong. And the market trends are showing this. Okay. So, being an entrepreneur, fostering that entrepreneurial spirit is very important, and understanding the basics that we're going to talk about this morning. But let's get caught up on some articles as well. That's my little soapbox rant. Rates fell to about 6.44 in a 30-year fixed base rate. Our base rate in the commercial space dropped to 6.5. So we're dead even with traditional lending, and commercial lending is at a dead heat on the base rate on a 30-year fixed. And again, the indicators are based on credit score and LTV and the asset type and the loan amount. But again, you're in a very good position as an investor with a DSCR right now. And even construction money has stayed stellar. You're starting at 9.75 on commercial financing. Multifamily build-to-rent share remains very elevated. So the eat, work, and live environment is staying very steady and it's growing. I'm seeing a lot of multifamily development, eat, work, and live in all the smaller city settings throughout the Northeast. You don't see a lot of single family development right now. You're seeing it more in the multifamily apartment living. So people are going to be fraying away from ownership. So it'll be very interesting how the landlords facilitate the individual that wants to rent the single family home in lieu of the apartment with some of the amenities that are being thrown at them as well. But that what really scares me is the U.S. job growth revised down by most since 2009, the 800,000 jobs that were miscalculated this past year. That makes me a little nervous. But with the political announcements we had on Friday, with RFK Jr. backing Trump, it'll be very interesting to see the Treasury market Monday morning opening rate. It'll be very interesting to see how the market reacts to that geopolitical discussion on Friday. It was like it's almost like a weird timing of things. All these big announcements, Jackson Hole, RFK Jr., all happening on a Friday, and then Monday you see what the market reaction is. So definitely tune in the Squawk Box and watch the market. It'll be a lot of heavy discussions probably from 7 a.m. in the morning going forward throughout the day. Some other articles that caught my eye this past week. Let's see here. Flipping the rent versus own dynamic in U.S. markets. I put something out about that. It's obviously still more expensive to own than rent, and especially in the insurance market at what the impact is right now in regards to the overhead of maintaining a home as well. It's kind of getting a little out of control. I was with some clients yesterday at the STR conference, and Florida is so out of control with insurance. It's really concerning where things will be going with insurance in some of these states. So let's get into our discussion this morning. Back to real estate basics and strategies and tips. So getting back to real estate basics is a great way to solidify your understanding and improve your investment strategies. And I'm going to provide some key strategies, and we'll open it up to Steven and anybody else that wants to raise their hand and come up, and we'll kind of interact and mastermind a little bit. So number one is understanding your market. Researching local markets, understanding the trends, the property values, and the rental rates in the areas that you are interested in. Number two is economic indicators. Pay attention to local economic conditions, employment rates, population growth, which can affect property values. And then obviously study supply and demand, assessing the balance between housing supply and demand in the chosen market. Number two, location is key. Neighborhood quality, prioritizing properties in good neighborhoods with strong infrastructure, amenities, and low crime rates. And then another addition to location is key is future development. Consider areas with potential future development as you can increase property values. And number three, financing options. Understanding mortgages. What a discussion I had yesterday with 25 plus people in the room. We discussed different type of mortgage options. A lot of people just didn't know. We just had a deeper, open discussion from an industry perspective. It wasn't me saying, hey, this is what I can do. I said, this is what the industry is doing. We talked in third party about the industry, and we talked about leveraging wisely and getting pre-approved and understanding what your pre-approval really means, not just a piece of paper that's written on. Then understanding the different type of number four is property types, single family homes, multifamily homes, mixed use, commercial, understanding the differences and the type of asset that's in front of you. And then number five, buy and hold strategy, understanding long-term growth, rental income, and biggest property management. At that meeting yesterday, there was at least 4 property management companies with booths because it's very important to have a good property management company involved in every level, whether it's an STR, MTR, long-term rental. Property management is going to be key to your growth. You just can't do it all by yourself. I really feel if you're going to be at 10, 15, 20 properties, 5 properties, it's got to be managed correctly. And then you got to look at the different strategies, fix and flip, fix to rent, new construction, DSCR, more turnkey. You got to also look at maybe consider midterm rentals, STR rentals, depending on where you are, location, and understand your target audience, the furnishings to those type of properties, and flexible pricing. Always, number 9, always do your due diligence, getting a property inspection, doing your title search work, market comparables, working with a licensed realtor, and better understanding the property. And then number 10, exit strategy, planning ahead, market timing. If you're going to flip the property, you don't want to time it where the property is going to be finished and ready at Christmas. You want to set it up in a right time to list the property. And then also number 11, consider legal considerations, zoning, tenant laws, tax implications, sitting down with a CPA and them understanding your tax implications of what you're doing with your real estate holdings. And then number 12, networking and education, joining real estate groups, masterminds, continuous learning. Like a couple of investors asked me, hey, do you think I should become a licensed real estate agent as well as being a real estate investor? I'm like, yeah, why not? Accessibility is key. By focusing on these principles and strategies, you'll build a solid foundation for successful real estate investing. Stephen, good morning and thank you. Brief overview, who you are, what you do, and thoughts to my discussion here. Back to Real Estate Basics.
Okay, thank you so much, Joe, and I'm glad things went well yesterday. Sorry I missed it. But yeah, so I'm a broker. One of my websites, REI homepage, and basically I'm a broker, landlord, investor, flipper, a little bit of everything. And it really is back to the basics because for the last few years, I've been Chicken Little saying because in my Northeast Pennsylvania market, we've been overvalued. In my opinion, since about 2022, and the numbers keep growing. And look at the spreadsheet. The question should never be, what do I have to buy to get this building? The question should be, what is this building worth to me in its current condition? And that's the big spiral. And truthfully, we mentioned insurance. My insurance agent called me and said, oh, if you're vacant more than 30 days, if you're more than 50% vacant, we go to vacant property insurance, more expensive, less coverage. So the insurance companies are actively comparing, honestly, in some ways, those of us in the small investing market. So it really does have to be look at your market and look at the numbers and say, if I'm renting a 3-bedroom for $1,000 a month, which is a little low in my market now, maybe I can't put in the higher end amenities than if I'm renting it at $1,500. Just because people like it doesn't mean the numbers make sense. You got to do a good job, but you got to make sure that you can stay in business and choose the right property management company because property management can be time consuming. So it really comes down to look at the numbers, learn the numbers, get into those ways that you can understand the numbers better than maybe you currently do.
So, Steve, real quick question. Thank you for coming up this morning. Do you think the supposed railway will make any immediate difference in your market? Because I know they've been saying they're going to develop railway from Scranton down to Tobyhanna, maybe down even into Easton. What's your thoughts to that? And do you think it'll ever come together?
I mean, I have confidence it'll come together because I spoke with somebody on the board of the railway committee, which is basically Scranton's, what was Scranton Rails to Trails for the last 40 years, but now it's Trails to Rails. And she said the money's in place, the rails are good, yada, yada. So they were very confident as of about 8 months ago that it's going to come together. And that will help because we are Wall Street West in a lot of technology areas, a lot of the servers and so forth moved out here after 9/11. So we are very heavy in logistics, Amazon. Will it come together? I think, unfortunately, that has as much to do with the next election and whether the motivation continues in place. I think if it came together, it will be continuing boom, for my region. My region has been named in so many newspapers as best area to retire, best area to invest, one of the few 12+ cap rate markets left in the country. So I think it'll definitely be a boon. As far as will it come together, I've been hearing it since I moved to this market in 1997. So
yeah, I get it. Listen, a lot of places have potential, but I am seeing things making a difference right now in Lehigh Valley. I think the certain areas in the Poconos they're thriving to a point. There's a lot of economic factors that come into place, like where Kalahari is. There's nothing else. If that place didn't exist, there wouldn't be anything else going on up there. Now, supposedly, they're putting a Margaritaville in the neighboring area to there. I don't know how much that will impact. Well, I mean, it'll bring jobs, but how much it will impact the local market value, I just don't know. I mean, I don't know how much the market value was impacted by Kalahari, to be honest with you.
I personally, I saw when I saw Kalahari going up out there, I was like, okay, great. That's a one destination community. And when I look at my short term rentals that I'm examining and I'm buying, I don't look just for, gee, what's the vacation numbers? Okay, what else is there? If the vacation industry, economy changes, vacations change. I'm looking to buy, short-term and arbitrage short-term and medium-term rentals, places where there are colleges, places where there are other sources of demand. I'm looking at the military base out by Newport, Rhode Island. So the military college, rather, out by Newport, Rhode Island. So that, because I look at the same thing. Gee, if I have a short-term rental by Kalahari, they are doing phenomenally. Those folks definitely who put that conference on definitely know what they're doing. But for me personally, I'm a little more timid, and I'm like, okay, if vacations change, what else is there?
Right.
Where else can I place? And that is, whereas markets like Scranton, one of the things I've said to people over the last 10 years up here is we have things that can't go away. We have more highways than many other parts of the country. So we'll always have logistics, we'll always have warehousing.
Yeah.
Medical is huge, education is huge. These things can't be outsourced.
Yeah.
So when I look at my rental portfolio, that's where I look. Will people have jobs if the economy makes some sort of a change?
So, I mean, and that ties into the conversation I had yesterday, Steve, and thank you. I told people, like, listen, I'm not an enemy of STR. I'm an enemy of you not underwriting your deal correctly. The property has to debt service, and if you don't understand your market rent and you only base it solely on numbers that could be fictitious and the occupancy is below 50%, that experience will put you into foreclosure. Okay. So you need to understand your PITIA and what you need to put into a property, one, to make it an STR, right? So you want to make this STR, right? You want to make this an MTR. That look of that property definitely is going to be different than a long-term rental. And what you're going to put into that property is going to be different. The renovations, the upgrades, the type of mechanicals that are being used, it's just going to be different. So you need to be smarter when underwriting your deals. Okay? So it's very important. And Steve, thank you. And I appreciate you jumping on. Steve's going to try to be part of our podcast on a week-to-week basis. I met Steve when I did a presentation up at Mountaintop this past year, and we have stayed in touch. So I think Steve will bring a vital indicator to markets, because I feel condo markets and vacationary markets that have a blend of vacation and long-term rentals are going to be the first thing to indicate where the market's going across the country. So getting into the basic real estate basics, and we'll keep this moving along. One big thing you want to keep in mind: goals versus strategies versus tactics. An easy way to look at real estate investing is to look at you're climbing a mountain. You're at the base of the mountain right now, and your personal, financial, and life goals are sitting at the top of the mountain. The strategies become the plans for you to how you're going to get up to the mountain to begin with. There's different paths you can take, with some being easier to climb and others getting you to the top of the mountain even faster. Tactics, though, are more like the different tools you use while you're climbing. They're anything that will help you actually to get up to different paths. When investors get caught, though, it's trying to be used. It's by trying to use tactics to climb the mountain without having fundamental understanding of your goals and strategies. You're going to hit you need to use those to hit those goals. Using tactics tend to feel good, but could also lead you right off the side of a cliff. So before you get into investing, you want to understand what your goals are. How many properties do you want to be involved with? How many rehabs do you want to do? Do you want to do rehab? Do you really want to get dirty into that space? Do you want to just buy turnkey? So understanding the different options and strategies that are out there are very important. Number one, wholesaling or hoteling. Okay, wholesaling is an age-old, time-tested strategy that tracks down sellers and gets assignment contracts on the property, then connecting with buyers. Simple as that. Then there's house hacking, buying a property to live in and renting out either bedrooms or units and subsidizing your overhead. Living in and flip, buying a property, renovating, and then flipping it, and keep doing that, finding ones that need a little TLC. Living and renting, meaning the house that you buy a house, you rent the bedrooms. Number 5, BRRRR, buy, renovate, rent, refinance, and redo. It's been around for 100 years. They just gave it a name. They used to call it the napkin technique back in my day. Land flipping, controlling the landing and flipping it out to developers. That's another strategy to look at. Airbnb, STR could be another great opportunity. Mobile home and mobile home parks or mobile homes. It's a very lower barrier of entry, not a lot of financing options in there, but you can make money and really good cash flow. Fix to flip and or fix to rent. There's so many options to go out there to start off with your basics, to grow and strategize and set goals for yourself. People say, "Hey, I'm going to set some new goals for New Year's for 2025." I set goals every week. You got to break it down by the week and what you're doing, who you're trying to meet, and what you're trying to do to impact your bottom line. Justin, good morning and welcome. Brief overview who you are, what you do, and thoughts to back to the real estate business.
Yeah, good morning, Joe. Justin Duffin, I'm here in Southern Louisiana market currently. Uh, I'm here every week. We talk about a lot of good things from week to week, and we frequently we touch the basics. I think in our deep dives that we do, but I think I try to. Well, definitely today, I'm definitely going to try to keep it, real simple. And I probably won't do too much of a deep dive, but I'll say this: everybody should begin with their end in mind. Right? Even if it's a short term end goal, even if it's not your retirement end goal, right? When you embark upon a mission, or you leave your house to go somewhere, you should kind of know where you're going. It's the same thing I think is true in real estate. Each and every step, you're not gonna have it perfect. You're not gonna know everything. Again, of course, 75% of what there is to learn is learned on the journey, on the road. But I would definitely say you to have a plan that takes into consideration your financial status and your financial goal. It takes in your depth of knowledge base, right? And it takes into account, once again, your goal. Go and search for some professionals if you're not an all cash individual, right? Which is really risky if you're new to this, putting your cash up. Even if you just won the lottery, it's still a risky thing to be all cash in as a new investor without a whole lot of guidance. So 9 times out of 10, be reaching out to a bank to do that, to get your funding to fund your project. In that situation, you definitely just know that the bank can be your best friend with this and guiding you through it. Obviously, they money out time over time again. So talk to them, see what their process is, ask them some of the things that a first timer might need to look out for or might want to look out for, right? Considering whatever it is you're about to bark upon, man. I'm being kind of vague this morning, but I just wanted to give clarity that the world of real estate investing and real estate is so vast that you can spend a lifetime in, flipping houses and never touch all of the categories of house flipping, right? And so that's just one of the many categories, one of the more popular categories. It's one of the strategies people tend to use to build up their cash reserve initially, which, from my experience, can be risky in and of itself. So, look, man, just absolutely, I think my biggest point or piece of advice this morning is to have a plan of execution. And as you build out that plan, make sure you reach out to professionals so that they can help you make sure you're putting the right things on your roadmap. So that's my 2 cents this morning.
Thank you, Justin. Sorry that I wasn't around yesterday. Justin threw me a text. Hey, where's the room this morning? I'm like, hey, I'm at an STR conference. I can't be in two places at the same time. So I just decided not to have it just for sanity's sake. So every once in a while, if I have a weekend event, I might not be able to have our room here or there, depending on the circumstances. So, when I thought of this subject, back to real estate basics, I really want you to think about what you need to think about, right? What should a real estate investor be thinking about, right? And I thought about this, and I thought, hey, listen, I want to know what the cost of capital is. I want to know what that really costs out there from a direct source, whether it's the local traditional bank, the hard money lender, the direct private lender. That's going to be important for me to justify my move, my next move, my immediate move, my current move, right? And what is the capital availability based on my financial circumstances? Can I get unsecured business lines of credit? Can I open up a line of credit over here? Can I get a construction loan based on this circumstance, based on this amount of money available? And understanding property pricing, right? Where is your market going? Like when you talk to a real estate agent, they're telling you one thing. You go to a real estate investor club, and they're telling you another thing. You're like, what the heck is going on here? So you got to do your own research. There's a lot of software and technology out there that you could either invest into or search to understand where the market is going. Okay. Understanding vacancy levels. Okay. Talk to property management companies and understanding how long is that property going to stay vacant if I turn it over, or if I'm buying something and renovating it. What am I expecting the timeline to have it rented, whether it's going to be market rent or low income housing or more of a Section 8 type of housing? How long does that take? What is the process? Should I expect 90 days vacancy? Should I expect 30 days vacancy? Is it rented before I even finish the renovations? Do I have a signed lease already and have a security deposit ready to go? I need to know this so I could understand what my cash flow is, what my refinance capabilities are, and what my long-term goal is with the property. And what is the leasing activity in that market? Like, is it hot? Is it slow? Is it quiet? Is there nothing on the market? And what's the transaction activity? Where are the comps? What is the completed values of properties in that market? Is there any comps that justify my value? Is an appraiser going to have a hard time understanding the value of my property when I'm completed with my renovations? And then last but not least, rental rates. What are your rental rates in your market? What are the laws in your market? Do you understand the landlord tenant laws? Have you retained an attorney that could put a very solid lease agreement in place to justify protection for both you and your tenant? I mean, there's a lot of concerns out there when it just comes down to basics, right? You got to embrace prop tech innovations. You got to harness data analytics. You got to look at evaluations. You got to identify opportunities. You got to look at the risk mitigation. You got to use bookkeeping services or software to maintain your properties. So these are things you need to really, and you got to explore emerging market in areas. It might not be in your immediate area, so you might have to look at other areas, maybe an hour out or 45 minutes out. I mean, I went to the STR conference for education and provide feedback to real estate investors, but I wanted to see another market. I wanted to see what was going on. Robert, good morning. Welcome. Brief overview, who you are, what you do, and thoughts to back to the real estate basics. Robert?
Morning, Joe. Good morning, everyone. Robert Hoke, real estate agent, building a home in Ashford, North Carolina. Just loving, I'm in the topic. The biggest thing is they're hidden restriction here in Ashford, Joe, as far as short-term rentals and Airbnb. So a lot of people have put all their eggs in one basket, and they're trying to work around them loops. And but I do the long term rentals, and just it's just for me from the leverage of equity and continue to build that portfolio. I'm excited to be here and loving the topic.
So, Robert, how's everything going with the construction project? I know you sent some pictures to me, which it looks like it's coming along. Any hiccups that you're finding with new construction compared to renovation?
Well, only, the hiccup here was the willow tree, and it had to go 10 feet deep and remove all the bad soil in there. You just never know when you get that. So the lot's level. Everything is in place now. no no delays on materials. Everything is coming in. Lumber ain't as expensive as it used to be. So we're on the second one, and framing is good. Roof trusses are here, and I'm excited about to get this one done. I gave him a nation of $10,000 bonus for getting us in there by Christmas. So looks like he's moving. Since it should be framed in another week.
So, are you going to rent the whole thing out, the two family, or are you going to reside in one of the units, or what's the game plan with this property? Is it long-term hold? Do you have any? What's the plan with the rents, things of that nature?
Yeah, the first one is will be rented out a 3-2 and half on top floor, and then 1-1 with a kitchen in the basement floor. Average square foot is around 875 square foot. Can be separate units, or someone can come in and rent the whole thing and just use the basement as an office or mother-in-law suite. The next one that's getting framed up, we'll move into that one. Rent the bottom out to travel nurse, or just someone in the area, and then we'll live in the top two floors, the 3-2 and half, and rent out the existing one. So we're looking at a year lease. Usually, credit unions wants a year lease, as far as knowing that it's a long term hold, and no hiccups as far as short term. So they don't do really believe short term. So I just believe in a long term game. And equity is close to double, so 75% of the bill is equity. So I'm excited about that.
So my last question, and have you seen any change in the rental market or the market value of the property since the start of the construction, or has it stayed steady for you where you're pretty comfortable when it's time for refinance and stabilized environment?
It's stable. There has been a lot that hit the market, but usually it's kind of downtown. My comps, a couple of miles away or a couple of blocks away, very very strong. So I look at that, and then being downtown Asheville, 7-minute walk. Starbucks, Ingles, the actual mall, the hospital was half a mile away. Just the area helps the market also.
Thank you, Robert, and good luck with everything and finishing up that project. I'm so happy that we worked together on getting that finance for you several months ago, and I'm so glad things are moving along. And that ties into my next discussion real quick before we get to Travis is, what are your real estate goals and objectives for success? Set a net worth goal. Set a goal for honing your deal analysis skills as well. Do you have the right worksheets to pencil your deals down for it to make sense? Do you understand NOI? Do you understand cap rate? Do you understand cash on cash return? Do you understand annual cash flow? Do you understand annual gross rent multiplier? These are terms that you need worksheets on to better evaluate your deals, and creating a goal for continual real estate education. Mapping out also a portfolio building and diversification goal. Setting a goal for growing your network. Networking is key. Building out your network is key. Having a bullpen of people in your power team are key. Setting a goal for growing your team. Setting a goal for investing in yourself, like your health. Take care of your health. I learned I was very unhealthy, but we're yet working my market. So I did not take care of my health. My health is number one. The reason why we start this room and podcast at 9:30, because I go to the gym every Sunday morning, 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. My health is first. So you have to invest into your health and take care of yourself. It's so important. And setting a goal for boundaries. Having boundaries are so important. You don't have to take that call at 9 o'clock at night on a Friday night. Nothing gets accomplished at 9 o'clock. Or if there's a nasty gram text that's related to business, let it go. Take care of it Monday if it's on Saturday night at 6 o'clock. Nothing will get accomplished till Monday morning. Go with a clear head. Emotions sometimes take over the circumstances, and the basics fade away. You got to keep clear and clarity and professional in everything you do. Getting hot and bothered about things just doesn't get you to the finish line. And creating goals to optimize your investment portfolio and setting retirement funding goals. What do you want to make when you retire? Like what type of portfolio you want to, what do you see yourself owning that would put you in a financial circumstance when you feel that you're going to retire? Right? Is it 10 properties? Is it 15 properties? Are they free and clear? Do they have debt? I don't feel debt is bad. If you have performing debt, it's good debt. That's my thought, right? So it depends, how you look at that plan. You got to start off with the basics. Ellis, good morning and welcome. Brief overview, who you are, what you do, and thoughts to discussion this morning. Back to real estate basics. Ellis?
Yes, good morning. Thank you, Joseph. Hi, everybody. My name is Ellis Sanchez. I'm a full-time investor based out of Southern California. And if you please, bear with me. I'm trying to reform and reconstitute my description of what I do. Basically, what I do is I focus on unconventional strategies to acquire properties as far below current market value and without having to do value add. And usually what that involves is focusing on title issues and other unconventional means to uncover situations where we could buy properties at 20 to 50 cents below market value, as is value. So I don't see myself as a value add where I'm fixing up a property, developing a property, etc. I want to find the most conservative acquisition price of that with the as is value. I'm way below that mark, and I've been focusing on these strategies and philosophies for the last 10, 12 years. And forgive my voice. I've been going to many different educational and networking classes for the last 2 weeks on a very small circle of mastermind members that focus on this. So my head is really spinning and my body is tired and aching. But I appreciate this room. I know how much dedication and consistency it takes for you, Joseph, to hold these rooms and to invite these discussions. So I just wanted to give you a shout out how much I acknowledge and appreciate the dedication it takes to do this week in and week out.
Thank you, Ellis, and I appreciate it. And I understand the voice issue. that'll be happening to me sometime in the next 60 days. I'll be at several expos. It's interesting. The education piece, I do appreciate these educational workshops, but I do appreciate these type of settings where you get to meet 25 to 50 people and just kind of, you could see in their eyes that there's something they want to get to, but they don't know how to explain themselves. And I think we could all agree there's no shortcut in success. But what have you seen with the market shifting? You're a West Coast guy. So yeah, it's had to shift a little bit, in what type of asset you're trying to identify. What basics have you kind of gone away from and set up new basics for yourself in the last 12 months that you probably would have never thought about 24 months ago or 36 months ago? Something that, because we're both educators and we're both chameleons. So what has shifted for you at least?
That is a right on point question, Joseph. It's interesting because over the last 2 weeks and the events that I've attended, and there have been some, I don't know if I want to say major epiphanies, but definitely an epiphany in a way where I look at my role in what I do in real estate, and it's not to focus on asset class, but focus on situations I can solve where I get paid the most, if that makes sense. And yeah, like I said, please indulge me because my head is swimming. I've been talking so much in the last 2 weeks that I'm usually a very quiet guy in my life, and I've been talking almost nonstop in these mastermind groups and breakout sessions. But it's really the epiphany I had is not to really focus on asset class, but focus on the strengths I have to solve a problem that bring me the highest value. Um, and um, and also to seek evergreen strategies because it's curious because the BRRRR strategy, which is it's in the title of the room, and what I what I what I realized is that for me to get really, really, really good at something, I was always trying to seek out things where the market changes, and we all know that that's just the way it is, right? If you want to have one constant to plan on, is that there's always change. There's always going to be change. So that if I really develop my skills and competencies, I wanted to have skills and competencies that were valuable regardless of what the market was doing, because strategies can go in and out, and it's very difficult to get really good at something if you're always having to pivot. So I know this is getting really kind of ethereal and deep, but I really wanted to focus on, regardless of what the market is doing, my skill set is incredibly valid, and I can always find incredible value in the marketplace. So I'm with all the interest rate changes, I've found that people are, because they're always moving the cheese. So the people that don't have those evergreen skills or the evergreen advantages and resources are having a tough time in this market because they're trying to implement a strategy that isn't in the sweet spot in the market. So yeah, so my head is really in a kind of a 20,000 foot level right now. I appreciate the question. It's a very on point, especially for where I am right now.
Well, thank you, Ellis. So something that I've seen, I'm going back to the basics myself. I'm resetting my mindset toward a networking event for education. This podcast, this room has inspired me to do a hands-on masterminding discussion. I've gone to many different events. I've seen some great event planners, and I've seen some poor event planners. People that put on an event doesn't mean they're an event planner. They're just putting on an event. You have to know how to bring the energy to that room or that event to make it appealing to people that want to grow in their real estate education and their goals. You got to ask all the right questions to get people to talk, because not everybody's an automatic extrovert. Not everybody just wakes up and says, "Hey, I want to talk to everybody." Okay, we all are victims to grammar school and high school. We're still battling grammar school and high school personalities. The cliques, where you're walking into an event and people are just like, "Oh, I don't want to really talk to you because I'm talking to the three people I know already." You need to break barriers when you're in a networking environment. You need to talk to everybody you don't know and then introduce the people you do know to the people you don't know. That is the perfection of networking. So like yesterday, I saw the room. It was a mixture of women and men. And I said, this is a good blend. I like it. I'm gonna ask everybody. I said, listen, we're not gonna do our standard presentation where I'm going to talk in the front and you're all going to listen. We're all going to be involved. Let's move the chairs around. They're like looking at me like I'm a lunatic. And I said, listen, I want everybody quickly, 30-second elevator pitch, who you are, what you do, and what you're trying to do right now. Bullet point, 3 bullet points. Boom, boom, boom. It loosened everybody up. All right. And then I peeled those basics, and I basically shot different questions to each individual based on what they said in those 3 bullet points. And we were going back and forth. All of a sudden, 45 minutes later, we're like, oh, wow, this was great. So, well, listen, this is a taste of what we do on our podcast, is what a taste we do that we're going to be doing in our mastermind in Philadelphia. Please come by. and I just left it there. Here's my cards. You reach out to me. Let me know. We'll go back to the roses the roses amongst the thorns. We have a couple ladies that just entered the room, so and then we'll go back to the gentleman in just a few minutes. First, we'll go to Linda. Good morning and welcome. Brief overview: who you are, what you do, and thoughts to our discussion this morning. Back to real estate basics.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Joseph. Great topic, great room. My name is Linda Pliagas, and I'm the owner of Realty411.com. We're a news and information website for real estate investors, and we also produce magazines, events, podcasts, etc., all in an effort to help real estate investors. Now, I love this topic, back to basics. It's so important for investors who want to start or grow their portfolio. It all begins at the same place. We need to start by honestly evaluating our current financial situation. How much income do you bring in to afford to save money every month for a down payment? What are your expenses? How much do you have for a down payment right now? Once you determine how much money you have to invest, then that's when the fun really begins. In terms of buying your first investment, I recommend you stay close by and not invest far away in the beginning. It's just, too dangerous when you don't know what's going on. And I like the idea of owning close by so that you can be as involved as possible with your investment to gain the experience needed so that you can venture out further away. Now, if you're working with wholesalers, please be very careful and run the numbers yourself. Make sure that the numbers are accurate, and for sure do your own due diligence. I recommend that you work with licensed realtors and brokers who can help you evaluate deals and also locate solid assets. And they can also review the deals that a wholesaler may bring you. It always helps to get other opinions from licensed professionals. Now, if you work with a turnkey provider or a turnkey company, please do a background check on them and their company. Also, property management is so crucial. It's, the most important piece of the pie. So always work with reputable licensed property managers. I always like to evaluate them and interview at least 3 property managers within the local area where the asset is located. That way you can get to know different managers, different management styles and systems, and pick, your preferred property manager, number 2 and number 3. That way you are all set and you have backup property managers just in case. If you feel confident in management, I recommend that you take, at least, and you're not a licensed agent, I recommend that you take a class specifically about property management so that you can be aware of the laws and regulations of property management, because it's very legally intense, especially in California. And if you do anything wrong, you can get in a lot of trouble. So I recommend that if you do your own management, please take a class, learn the laws, and keep updated with what's going on in your area. Thank you so much, Joseph. Back to you.
Thanks, Linda. Hey, Linda, quick update. What's going on with the webinars and Grand LA Expo? Let's get an update.
Yes, thank you so much. We just wrapped up a virtual webinar, which was really great. We're introducing brand new construction properties for our investors, which I love new construction because it eliminates a lot of continuing management issues that can happen. We're also going to be having a huge Grand Expo October 26th in West Los Angeles. Last year we had over 850 people. We have 3 breakout sessions with 12 speakers, and our keynote is Mr. Rick Sharga, who is a very reputable and well-respected educator in our industry. So we're really excited, and I invite everyone to join us. It's a complimentary event. We have valet parking for $15, and we'll have food, a variety of food trucks. So you can enjoy cuisine, from around the world. It's so much fun, and we invite everyone to join us. Thank you.
Thanks, Linda. What I got from Linda is choosing your real estate niche, understanding what your true interests are and how you can apply your experience. Your skill set and your educational background tie in. Understanding your local market and the client's needs if you're going to be a real estate agent as well. The level of competition. I'm not a big fan of worrying about my competition. I feel always my competition's been the mirror. That's the only person that's been in my way. But you have to look at what the local competitive market looks like. Adaptability in a changing market. A lot of people just can't handle the shape-shifting market right now. Like, to me, this is just a reminder of 2008 and another reminder of 1992. Like, it's not something I'm not intimidated by. And understanding where you're going to be for the longevity of your career and where the profitability is going to be. Amy, good morning and welcome. Brief overview of who you are, what you do, and thoughts to our discussion this morning. Back to the real estate basics. Amy, going once. There you go.
Good morning, Joe.
Good morning.
Yeah, sorry for popping in late. It is a soccer weekend, so we had a soccer game this morning. So back to real estate. This is always really good, especially even if you've been a real estate investor for a very long time, because going back to the basics allows you to take a look at your systems and processes and how you can improve them. So if you don't know the basics, or you've gotten away from them, or even look, I'm the technology person in the room. I'm the chair of the U.S. PropTech Council, which is PropTech is real estate technology. We are the trade association for the real estate technology industry in the United States. I am also a founder of Facilimax, which is a digital twin commercial real estate platform. And I've been a long-time real estate investor. I've been real estate investing since 2008 when I bought my first single-family home. And then I quickly got into multifamily mixed-use projects, development, all those other great things as I scaled and grew. But the basics tend to remain the same. It's you have an asset, it has some sort of value as it sits today, and you try to improve that value. And how you improve that value generally is sometimes in the eye of the beholder, but a lot of the times it's in what the market will bear, and you have to understand that. So now you can use, for all those people that are getting into real estate investing right now, I am super jealous of you, because there's so much technology out there to kind of help you hone in on markets. But I will say, going through the process and doing it yourself, and slugging and slogging through the process of how do I determine which market, which submarket, which neighborhood am I going to invest in that's near me. I agree wholeheartedly with Linda. Invest in your neighborhood. I know it might suck if you're in a place that's higher priced and there's not a lot of real estate out there, but there's always a deal. There's always a deal somewhere. Like, no matter, I'm in Austin, Texas, and we're way highly priced, but there's always a deal. And I can find them. You just have to work a little harder to find it. But invest close by, because you want to lean on all of those contractors that you're using, so you can learn the property manager that you chose or who chooses to work with you, so that you can learn from them. So there's a lot of that, but I would say the basics for sure is just the deal underwriting, understanding what your financing requirements are, and market selection. If you get really good at those things, it'll help you get into your first deal. You know, when I first started way back in the day, we would, there was a group of us that would get together and we would just once a month, and we would be underwriting deals. I underwrote like hundreds of deals before I even made an offer on one. And part of it was we underwrote deals that already had been, like, they're expired, but we were just practicing our underwriting. And then we would get together as a group, and then somebody would present their underwriting, and then the rest of us would try and pick it apart and go, did you think about this? And did you think about that? It was a very Socratic method of learning, but it was great. And we all learned so much in that mastermind group from just that exercise of how do you underwrite a deal, and you get to listen to everybody else and all their input. And we just got really good at underwriting. And I will tell you, out of that group, this was back in 2008, 2009. Out of that group, there was about 10, 12 couples. Most of all of them became sponsors. Large real estate. I mean, they had thousands of units at some point. We all did at some point. So I would say understanding that, understanding your market, understanding how to underwrite a deal, and then learning as much as you can is always super helpful in this industry. So there's my half a nickel, Joe.
Thank you, Amy. I appreciate that half a nickel always. And you know, and the underlining theme to that is transactional experience. You know, you need it. You need that transactional experience. I mean, it's like going into sparring. You know, you know how many sparring hours a boxer does before they get into a boxing fight? Think about it.
That's true.
Right? Like when I wrestled back in high school, I did 2 to 3 hour workout sessions every day, Monday through Friday, to have one wrestling match a week. Think about that, the numbers. I had to put in 15 hours a week, 20 hours a week after school to have one match for 6 minutes.
Yeah, I feel you. I think what is the rule? Like, if you need to put in, I don't know if it's really true, but there was an adage of, like, if you put in 10,000 hours, then you can call yourself an expert. If you put in 10,000 hours into one subject, you can call yourself an expert, right?
Yeah.
And it's all that is just you got to put in the time. Right. You have to work at it. You have to work at your craft, and you have to educate yourself. You don't become, I mean, I've been a real estate investor for 14, 15 years.
Yeah.
You don't become a real estate investor and then stop learning and think you know everything, because forget it. Like, there's always going to be a different type of investment. There's always going to be a different type of a deal. There's always going to be a different way to finance that deal. There's always going to be a different way to raise money for that deal. There's always something different and that's what I love about real estate investing, is it's always something different, and it's challenging, and it's you know, how you negotiate with people. There's always something new to learn, and the market changes. And there's always some new financial instrument that comes out that can help you get a deal done that didn't exist before, right? So that's what I love about that whole thing, for sure. You have to constantly be learning.
You know, and one thing I've learned from this podcast is, one, to listen more, okay, and let people talk. But the whole idea of the podcast was interviewing multiple people at the same time. Most of this discussion is unscripted. Most of it is. I mean, it's some of it has some themes to it, but we're all pretty much unscripted in our discussions in the subject at hand that everybody just found out about this morning, for the most part, right? Like, you didn't know this subject before you walked in the door, right?
Nope, I had no idea.
So, you know, this is very raw material that we're providing every Saturday and Sunday. And Amy, thank you for taking the time from a soccer mom to, you know, share your brilliance here and your shine, of course. And I think number one, what Amy was saying is success begins in the mind. Planning is the key to attaining objectives. Be goal obsessed and actually follow through. Avoid burnout by setting a schedule. Like I say, I go to the gym every morning. That's the first thing I take care of is my health. Everything and my eating habits. I'm very, very conscious of what I eat and how I eat. Okay. A lot of you don't know I'm a carnivore. Okay. So I don't eat any carbs. I haven't had a hard carb in almost 5 years now. No bread, no pasta, no rice, no potatoes. It didn't work for me. It'll never work for me. It'll never be part of my system anymore. Okay. I eat meat, pork, fish, chicken. That's me. Eggs. That's my meal. Twice a day. I fast till 12 o'clock every day. I try to clear all out the bad toxins and decompress all the stress out. And then you also prioritize your client communications. Routinely enhance your digital presence, actively growing your real estate leads, data mining. Tenacity is a way of life, not a temporary feeling. Having empathy for your real estate clients' worries. Discover how to naturally motivate yourself. If anybody's connected with me on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, I put out a motivational or inspirational quote every single morning, not just for you to read, but I read that every morning, every single morning, being continuous and consistent in what I'm doing and what you're doing. Gilbert, good morning. Welcome. Brief overview, who you are, what you do, and thoughts to our discussion this morning. Back to real estate basics.
Hey, good morning, Joseph, Dustin, Linda, Amy, Robert, and the rest of the panelists. My name is Gilbert Okoronkwo. I am the managing partner of Grace Building Company. We are a niche development company located down in Houston, Texas, where we focus on building 4-door and under rental properties. We also do some build to sell and also do fee building for, clients that are in-state and out of state. I heard a lot of great things this morning, Joseph. I think one thing you said earlier that really resonated with me was that you mentioned something about health. And I totally agree that health is wealth. I'm at the age now, I'm going to be 45 soon, where, classmates from high school are dropping dead and just different things are happening. So I had to take a long look at myself in the mirror and on the Ring camera. And I was like, man, this, I'm better than this. Let me get my act together. So I'm on my health journey, trying to get down to my college football playing weight. So it's going to be a challenge, but I'm going to do it. But just to focus on the conversation, it's a great discussion as usual. I would just tell people that are looking to get into real estate today, be very aware of coaching and mentorship programs that focus on curriculum and methodology that worked during COVID. When it was a seller's market, when appraisals were coming back high, just be warned that you're a target. And it's not me hating on anybody coaching or mentorship packages, but I would just say be wary. And then someone mentioned something on stage too. They suggested that you use a licensed professional. I totally agree. I'll take it a step further. Hopefully it resonates with you. So if you're looking to be a BRRRR investor, I would definitely get with a licensed professional who is also a BRRRR investor, who has experience doing exactly what you want to do. Because a lot of times when we first get into real estate, myself included, the people we have to protect ourselves against are ourselves because, just our inexperience and not knowing. Due diligence is very important. There are a ton of licensed realtors out here in the Houston market that are marketing properties for sale with outright lies in the marketing and how you can use the property or what the property is. So I would just say, make sure you use a professional that actually is doing or has done exactly what it is you're trying to do. Another thing I'll mention, you see a bunch of Section 8 marketing all over Instagram and social media. I've been a Section 8 landlord for the last 10 years. Don't get me wrong, it's a great program. But where I'll caution people is that there are some pitfalls to Section 8. And then also, when it comes to Section 8, the people that are best lined up for Section 8 success are landlords that have cheap debt or volume, because one thing you want to stay really close to is that Section 8 payment standards. In my opinion, I've been saying this for months, they're going to start changing. Section 8 rents are going to start going down in certain markets. It's already happened here in Houston. Section 8 payment standards recently changed here in Houston effective August 1st. So you really want to be careful when you underwrite and make sure you understand what rents are and understand what market you're in. Other than that, I mean, I love this conversation. I think when you first get started in real estate, you always got to challenge yourself. You have to come into it with a spirit of humility. I think so much nowadays, sometimes I listen and folks love to hear themselves talk, and you can just tell certain people that don't have humility, because I think something everyone said that I agree with, you constantly have to learn, because nobody knows everything. I don't know everything. So I'm constantly learning myself. I've been a real estate investor now for the greater part of the last 15 years. And, we're going to continue to be, God willing. Thank you.
Thank you, Gilbert. I appreciate that. And stay healthy and take care of yourself as always. Some final thoughts to our discussion. We're really bringing a lot of great things to this house and club and podcast is honesty. There's, as a real estate investor, you have to be honest. You have to be transparent. You have to have excellent communication skills, and you got to be confident. And you got to kind of leave the cockiness to the sidelines. But there's things you got to keep in mind what's in front of you as a real estate investor, right? You need to accept and stay calm about certain factors in our market, right? Political unrest and global economy, the influence of hybrid work, our housing shortage, artificial intelligence, the labor shortage. Think about that. That we have a high unemployment coming around, and we have a labor shortage at the same time. We have a qualitative shortage of good labor. Migration or illegal migration, how is that impacting? The real estate Armageddon, is it coming? We still have to keep an eye on supply chain logistics and U.S. onshoring. And the pricing reset, like how is inflation going to impact our cost of living in time? And how is that going to impact your renter and you to succeed as an investor? And America's aging infrastructure. These are all things that you need to keep and research in your markets as basics. These are important things to keep in mind. I want to thank our moderators. We brought a couple new ones on. Steven came on board. Gilbert's now getting more involved. Robert, we're very well connected. He came up. Amy and Linda are roses amongst the thorns. Justin, who's I think busy on the phone right now. I want to thank them. They have provided a committed effort to give back on real estate education, and I think it's important. And we're consistent with it. We're going to tackle new subjects every Saturday morning, every Sunday morning. Saturday mornings 8 a.m. Sunday mornings 9:30 a.m. I want to thank our sponsors, Miss Linda Pelagas at Realty 411. I want to thank MB Capital, your unsecured business line of credit program. I want to thank Lendmark Capital, providing asset-based lending nationwide, all 50 states for real estate investors. And I want to thank Mr. Yardell Perkins of Perkatech, who provides our social media platform, our social media architect of events, live, Zoom. He's been a great partner of mine over the last 10 years, providing insight and strategy for real estate investors in the website space, in the technology spaces. And again, you should be reaching out to all these people. Have a one-on-one, have a strategy discussion. Everybody in this room has 10 to 15 minutes to have a discussion with every single person that's a moderator up here. Every single person that's a moderator up here has a phone number on their profile. Text them, say, hey, I'd like to grab a 10-minute strategy discussion with you. Hey, or email them, hey, I'd like to set up a 10-minute, strategy discussion with you. A call to action. So we'll be back next Saturday and Sunday morning. I want to thank everybody. And my quote this morning, the magic you are looking for is in the work you are avoiding. Everybody have a blessed week. Take care of yourself. And I'll be ending the room in the next 30 seconds. Thank you.